Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to iteach Live, the series where we feature the great work of all the teachers out there in the world. I am not Andrew, as you can tell. Today's actually a special episode. My name is Daniel Ruth, and I am part of the production team that is behind this whole series, making this happen, helping get these teachers on the show and feature their great work. So today I have the honor of interviewing a former teacher of mine, Miss Jeanette Murray. Welcome, Jeanette.
Thank you so much. I'm just so happy and honored to be here and to see you again. It just really means a lot to me.
Well, likewise. I feel really fortunate to be able to do this because you were one of the most foundational teachers I had in really what turned out to be like my whole adult life. And so when we started talking about doing this series, you were the first person I thought of. I have to talk to her. I have to see if she can do this with me. So the folks that iteach were kind enough to let me do this interview today. Trust me with interviewing you and asking you a bunch of questions and sharing what I know is going to be a really valuable interview with a lot of people.
I hope so. Thank you. It really means a lot to me. This is exactly why I do what I do. We talked a little bit the other day and I said, it's really awesome when kids come back to visit, but it's those kids that come back 10 years later and however many years down the road and still remember you and appreciate you for what you've done for them. And, in that moment in time, maybe I didn't realize like what I was doing, but I just knew that you were my student, which makes you my kid. And I wanted to do everything I could for you, and I'm just glad it led you on to the path that you're on because I think you're amazing.
Well, thank you. Well, we can't do it without great teachers. Okay, so I wanted to get into a little bit of your background, and then I would love to get into just your passion for teaching, and then maybe we could talk a little bit about my experience with having you as a teacher, and then I'd really love to get into sort of your approach in terms of just strategies for why you do what you do and overcoming any challenges that you faced. And then if we have any time, just going into maybe some thoughts on what teachers can do during this time, because you're probably one of the more seasoned teachers we've had on this show so far. You've been teaching for 19 years, right?
Yeah, I know I look like I'm 20, so.
Yeah, always perpetually. And you teach at Lake Dallas High School you're the visual arts teacher and the visual art department chair. Is that right?
Yeah. So I started at Lake Dallas High School when I was 22 years old. I actually wasn't even finished with college yet. I started as a paraprofessional, and they were kind enough to hire me on and gave me a chance. And I worked in the art classes and I worked with special ed too. And they really gave me the flexibility that I needed to finish school so I could finish my art history and my education degree. And then they just trusted me and they kept me on, and, the rest is history. I've, like you said, finished my 19th year, and I don't know, it's so weird because I feel like I just started, but then I feel like I've had a lifetime there. I think about all my kids that have come in and out, and it's home, and I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. And you just were awarded the Lake Dallas ISD Teacher of the Year, right?
The high school teacher of the year.
High school
Yeah.
Teacher of the Year. Yes.
Yeah. So each school gets their own teacher of the year. So yes, I was very honored to be awarded this year. We worked really hard this year. There's a program that the Texas Art Education Association just started last year. It's called the District of Distinction. And we worked really hard to meet all the criteria, and we earned that award this year. So I think that was a really pivotal part in me being nominated for this. Other than, I love kids and I do everything I do for kids. My job is not just a job. They say if you do something that you love, you never work a day in your life. And that's really what it's all about. And I'm not saying it's not hard work, because we put in the hours behind the scenes that a lot of people don't see, but if you love what you do, it's just so worth it.
Yeah. Well, when did you decide you wanted to become a teacher? Do you remember? Was there a specific moment or a specific experience that made you really think, I want to be a teacher?
So it's so funny because growing up, I remember playing teacher all the time, but I didn't really realize that this is what I wanted to do until I was a senior in high school. And it was a high school art teacher that really gave me the drive to want to become an art teacher. He was just, he was really amazing. And it's kind of funny because he also only had one eye. So he had a glass eye, which now thinking about it, like you're dealing with depth perception and stuff like that. But he just was so inspirational in his own artwork and pushing me to become a better artist. And really, he is what got me into art history too. And so it was my senior year in high school. I hadn't taken an art class since middle school, but he inspired me, and it was just that aha moment. And I knew that that's what I wanted to do for the rest of my life.
That's really cool. So would you say it was really that experience, like that one teacher that really, did he just open your eyes to teaching, you think? Or was it something where you thought that's what you want to do for other people? Or how did you sort of interpret that, like that interaction with him?
So I think it was the first time that I had really been exposed to art other than just making art, but you know, the art history side of it too, but then just talking about art and experiencing art and how art changes our lives. Art is a big part of our lives every day, whether we realize it or not. And it's a tool to learn other things too, like creative thinking and problem solving. And, you know, that's kind of where I was at that time. And then I guess I decided I really wanted to be a teacher maybe when I was still in college to become a teacher. You know, it's kind of funny. Like people say, oh, don't go get an art degree because you'll never get a job. Well, I knew I wanted to do something in art and share that with others. But then that teaching inspiration came maybe even when I started the high school and started TWU and started actually working with kids. And that's when it clicked. And I said, this is what I want to do, because I can make art. I can talk about art. I can also just talk about life and talk about experiences and how art relates to all of those things, excuse me, and inspires us to do better and to be better through all that it teaches us. So I think it was just a combination of a lot of different things that all just came together and worked out, you know?
Yeah. And I think that's one of the things that stands out to me the most about you as a teacher is the way that you really just, you care so much more about the student and so much less about the lesson plan necessarily. Not that that's not important, but it was always in service of helping us become better people. And that's something that we had talked about recently when we were prepping for this interview, was just helping your students become better people. I had asked you, you know, what are you most passionate about? So obviously we talked the other day when we were preparing for this interview, but what would you say to all the people out there? Well, you know, what are you most passionate about as a teacher? What keeps you coming back year after year?
I think just the connections with students and building relationships with students, because I know that as an art teacher, there's kids that come into my classroom every year that are not going to go on to be artists. But I can inspire them to appreciate art. But as I said before, with that, there comes lessons that become life skills. So we talk about critical thinking and creative thinking and problem solving and questioning everything. And all of that, I think, leads people to be more successful human beings. I also just try to teach compassion and kindness through the way that I hopefully treat kids. I mean, I hope that they feel that, because, you know, that's where it all starts. You can have the best lesson plan, you can have the best teaching techniques, but if those kids don't feel like you care about them, they're not going to work for you.
Yeah.
But if you know that if they know that you love them as a human being and you genuinely care for them, then they'll do anything for you. They will work their hearts out and they will want to be better people. And I think that is the root of what education is really about. You know, being a mother now, have an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old, that really was pivotal for me too as a teacher, because I realized that every student in my classroom is somebody's child. And I think about how I would want my own child being treated in a classroom. So that's how I treat my students too. They're not just my students, they're my kids. And I'm going to treat them with respect and love. And when you do that, you know, the rest is easy, you know. easy and such that it is, but they will work hard for you, and they will rise to the expectations that you set for them.
Yeah.
And I think that we need to teach kids more lessons like that, with love and care.
Well, I think what you taught me in this realm was like, yeah, it was important to work hard to get our work done, but I think you empowered me, or you showed me that I could work hard for myself. That like here are all these tools that exist for you to create these things or solve these problems or do the, and obviously like we're talking about the microcosm of we're making this little robot in Photoshop and giving it googly eyes and like silly things, but it was about the mechanics of that, doing that process, and the process of creating like that, or working in that way, and then the way coupled with the way that you approached us as students, which was like you're saying. I mean, I told you that you're one of the few teachers I've ever felt like, I mean, I've had so many amazing teachers, I really have, and they've been incredible educators, but I think it's really rare when you come across that teacher who really goes above and beyond to make sure that you as a student are, that relationship is the most important thing, and that you as a student, like there's like from you, I always felt like this immense amount of compassion and just genuine investment in my life, of like, you saw something in me that I don't think that I saw in myself. And maybe that's the gist of what I'm trying to say. But you showed me that I can work hard for me, and not that I was lazy at any point, but I didn't really care that much I cared about art. I loved it, but I never took it that seriously. It just was never a thing that I was really that invested in. But through the process of just walking through it and starting from the beginning and saying, here's what the pen tool is, like the simplest tool in Photoshop, like that, then going through that process through the class to be able to go from that point to the end of the class to being able to make something that I'm really proud of, that really showed me that with the help of a teacher, a great teacher, like I'm capable of making stuff I never thought I could, I never thought possible. And how that's translated for me as an adult is like when these problems come up, it's like I have no doubt in myself that I can solve them, that I can, if I just start at the beginning, start simple, I can fix that problem. I can learn the things, or learn the tools, or learn the techniques, or whatever I need to do, I can do that because I had the experience of that in like a simple thing like a Photoshop class. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you just summed up like my goal in teaching is, like I said, when you lay that foundation and have that connection and relationship with students, and then you put in all the technical skills and the lessons are important, but the human connection is so much more important. And if I did that for you, I feel like my job is 110% done. And that's just my goal in every kid that walks through my classroom. And, I feel like a lot of them I do reach and some of them I don't, but it's surprising too how many come back years later and said, I was a real jerk in your class, but I just wanted you to know that I appreciate what you did and I appreciate you not giving up on me. So,
Yeah.
It just all goes back to that. And I guess even a greater point too is, there's nothing greater than compassion for humanity. It's like we're all human beings. And I think what we need right now more than anything else is just to be kind and to care for each other and kind of step away from our own selfishness and give to others. And that's a huge part of it too. And I guess maybe that's why I do what I do too, whether we're dealing with COVID-19 or whatever else comes our way, is just being kind and compassionate towards other people, and just genuinely showing that you care for other people is probably the most important gift you can give to society.
Yeah, I absolutely believe that as well. Yeah, and I think I'm just curious, why that is sort of your, I mean, I know that kind of goes to really who you are, but why is that your approach? That's sort of your first avenue as a teacher, like the underlying why for you? Why would you say that is for you?
I have an amazing mother. I had an amazing father. And you think back to who your first teachers are as a child, and they're your parents.
Hmm.
And they're the people that are supposed to love for you and care for you. And that's the foundation that's laid. And then you start learning all of these things. Or maybe you start learning them at the same time along with those things. But, you know, that's what a teacher is supposed to be. Above all else, like, you have to be kind and compassionate before you can get anybody to do anything for you. You know, there's that saying, you can get more with honey than with vinegar or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, you catch more flies with honey than vinegar, and I think that has a lot to do with it too. It's just how you approach people. You know, the golden rule too: treat others the way that you want to be treated. And I feel like if students or just people in general feel loved and respected by you, then you get that back in return, and then that relationship can build, and then teaching and learning can happen. And not just with students and teachers, but just human beings in general. You can sit down and have a conversation about something that you might have a completely different opinion than the other person. But if you approach it a certain way with kindness and compassion, then you can have a conversation, and it's not an argument and yelling and people and friending people on Facebook and, you know, all the things that we see. So it's just about being a good person and being what you want back in return, I think. So
Yeah. No, that's
did you
really,
get all that? Sorry, I kind of froze up for a second. Sorry.
yeah, no, that's okay. I think that was really well said. Yeah. Well, and like I said, I mean, it works. I'm a testament to that because of your class. You know, I had the confidence. I went off and I studied music, which I was really into music at the time. Part of my journey was not to make this about me, but just as a testament to you.
No, yeah.
You know, I was really into music. That was sort of my thing. I was really into band and jazz. And then I decided, I never really did that well though. Like, I tried the competitions and I was never really all that great. And then I was in your class and you really encouraged me to submit. There was a piece towards the end of the year that you really encouraged me to submit to one of the art competitions. And I did. And then I had taken a photo that I didn't think anything of it. I'd always been interested in photography, but I'd never once considered it a possible career path or some sort of, I don't know. It never crossed my mind, but I had taken this photo and you encouraged me to submit it to the competition as well. And I was like, I don't know, but you really pushed me. And that photo it ended up going on to the state competition with your help. And then we got to go to state, a bunch of the art students, we all got to go down to Houston and experience like this huge state art competition. And I had never been a part of that world. I'd always been in the music scene. And then when I went to this art side, it was like this whole thing opened up. But I went to college for music after that because I was still so invested in the music. But towards the end of that, I got back interested again in photography and in video and in electronic media. And it, like, all those tools came flooding back, of not just the tools, but the passion for like creating and for visual medium and all these things. And then that launched me and my business partner. Now we're both in your class together, and we started a business together doing video production. And I mean, we both credit your class with being foundational to us feeling like we're capable of starting a business. We're capable of creating things and getting paid for it, making a living out of creating and doing something visual for a living and creative. And so it's really cool to be able to talk to you and to look back and to say, like, your tools as a teacher, all the lessons and everything, but also, and more importantly, the compassion and the care that you give to each of your students, like, it works. And it has meant a lot for us and has been a huge reason why we've been why we even had the confidence to start a business. And through a lot of the hard times is like what sustained us in the business, because we can look back to those tools and those processes and know that we have the confidence that we can do it. So I really appreciate it.
You're good, mate. I've been like getting teary-eyed this whole time, and I didn't wear my waterproof mascara.
I didn't either. I didn't wear mine either.
But I mean, it just makes me so proud, and not of me, but just of you guys, you know. I'm thankful that I had that impact on you, but you know, it was your choice to go out there and do it. I gave you some tools and I gave you
Yeah.
some support and some love, and you know, that you chose to go out there and do that. So whatever part I played in that, I'm so grateful for. But I'm so proud of you and all my students that make that choice every day to go out and do something for
Yeah.
themselves and to be successful. Because that's all I ever want for any of you guys. That's all I want for my own children. That's what I want for my friends and my family. You know, just be people, be to do, guys do, and contribute to society. And I think that what you're doing right now is a huge contribution to society. And I don't know if you still have your senior letter that I wrote you guys, but that was a huge point in it, is just make good decisions, contribute to society in the most positive way you can.
Yeah.
And I still tell my seniors that to this day. You know, we're graduating another class tomorrow, and I've told them the same things. And I just hope that maybe another 10 years down the road, 11 years now, I guess, maybe I'll be contacted by another one for the same reasons. I hope so.
I hope so. Yeah. Well, your Teacher of the Year award is very well deserved. I would have given it to you a long time ago if I could have. So
Thank you.
yes.
Thank you. I'm really honored to have been chosen this year. So it means a lot. It just makes everything that I do, I feel, is very worthwhile. But when you get something like that and you're recognized by your peers and your administration and stuff like that, it means so much more too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, a lot of people that watch this program are potential teachers that maybe they're looking at doing the iteach program or becoming a teacher in one way or another. I know a lot of people actually are career changers. So maybe they worked in a career for a while and they found that they didn't like it or it wasn't fitting their lifestyle. And so they're thinking of making a change. And so that's what's really cool about the iteach program, is that they can make that change, that you don't have to go back and get a college degree in education in order to become a teacher. If you already have a degree, you can just go through the program and then be certified. So I guess, what would you say to a lot of those teachers or a lot of those people who might be watching who are considering teaching but are not sure about it? What would you say to them, or what advice would you give them?
You know, I have to say, first and foremost, you have to love students. You have to be in it for them. Um, it's not about spring break and summer vacation. It's not about health insurance and all those kind of things. It really, truly is about the students that you reach every day, and you have to make that your number one priority. Also, just know that it's not an easy thing. I mean, you deal with a lot more than just what goes on inside the classroom. It's like you hear a lot of things from a lot of students, and you're dealing with them on personal and emotional levels, and you become their guidance counselor and their therapist and their mom and all of those things. And you just have to really be prepared for that and be dedicated to that 100%. It's a selfless job. It's like I said, it's not about me. It's not about the teacher. It's about those kids. So make that your number one priority. Make relationships, everything else will fall area inside and out. But if you can't make those connections and relationships, you're not going to reach those students, you know. And the goal is to reach those students and to make them want to work harder and be. So yeah, I think that's the of it. You know, just be there for the kids 100%, 110%.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And then last question. There are also a lot of people that watching this, at least the hope is that a lot of people that are watching this are current teachers. And maybe they are feeling a little discouraged or a little down. And so the hope for this program was that we can, and using other teachers' experience and wisdom and insight, encourage them and inspire them. Is there anything you would say to a teacher right now who's discouraged or down or struggling? Maybe they're just a little bit burned out, or they're not sure how to even navigate this weird time that we're in. Anything you would say to encourage them?
You know, this in particular, these last 8, 9, 10 weeks, I've lost track, have been really hard. we're trying to figure out new ways. We're all in this together. First of all, we're all in this together. We're trying to figure out new ways as teachers. Parents are now becoming teachers and having this whole new struggle, but we're all in it together to get these kids where they need to be. And again, that's what it's all about. So, it's a good fight, and hopefully we'll get back to our norm, whatever that may be in the future, and I hope that we get to be back in the classroom with these kids. And I think that they're going to see their education from a whole new perspective, because personally, I've had so many emails from students and parents thanking me for the work that I've put in during this time where we've had to do all this online learning. And they've been so grateful and just appreciative for the work that we're doing. So it all comes around, like I said, it's a selfless job and sometimes it's a thankless job, but those thanks that you do get make it all worthwhile. And we gotta stick with it together and just remember what's the most important thing. And the most important thing are the students.
Yeah. I love that. I really love that. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, and just being able to reflect on your class and everything I learned from you as a teacher. And so thank you so much for everything, for always encouraging me and Ryan and all of your students. And just thank you for joining us on the program today. I know this is a little different, but it's a lot of fun. And thanks to everybody watching for watching and sticking with us. You have any last words of wisdom?
Oh, I mean, I'm no like Gandhi or Buddha, but just thank you so much. And I genuinely appreciate being asked to do this. And I just want to tell you guys that I'm so proud of you and what you're doing. And thank you for being so supportive of us as educators and doing this for all of us too. We are getting a lot more credit now than we have in a long time. And this really helps promote that. And I from the bottom of my heart, appreciate it. And I love you guys. I'm, it's 11 years later and I still think about you guys, and we follow each other on Facebook and social media. And I just want you to know that I'm still here. And I know that y'all are grown and have your own things happening, but I'm always here for you. And just thank you for making me a part of your life too.
Well, geez, no, thanks is all for me here. Geez. Okay, well, with that, I think that's a great note to end it on. Thank you again for being here. Thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.